Noir Vortex. Hopefully you can hear me over the sound of ambient, drony atmospherics and this ethereal glow behind me as I find myself to have transcended to the point of absolute being. No, it's just a lamp behind me. But yeah, I'm just going to talk. I don't know, this is going to be very general one, like basically talking about my current mental state, and then also just sort of try and give myself an impetus to actually start writing, because I think that's what I need to do, really. I feel like I'm in a sort of malaise at the minute of wanting to do something, wanting to write something, wanting to articulate something. But until I actually get to my keyboard and start writing that down, it's not going to be articulated. It's going to continue to be a throbbing sort of annoyance in the back of my head. And I need to explore ideas, basically. So I feel, I would certainly say at the minute I feel somewhat alone. There is a feeling of loneliness at the minute, but then that is the human condition, I think. I think everybody feels that at some point. The struggle for trying to just connection with other human beings. I often find that I'm very alienated from the majority of people. It's not really it's not really a pleasant feeling. But also, I think, in some respects, I almost glorify it, That's the thing, it's like a complex almost for me, where I feel that I want to belong somewhere, but also I value my aloneness and my independence of thought, my independence of being, in some ways, the way I live my life. I think, probably, that's generally speaking a good thing to develop in maturation of your, consciousness, soul, whatever you want to call it, mind. I think, and also, I guess, if you can become comfortable with your own sort of BS, really, then that's a big step to limiting its power. And I have my BS, I can be very, my main thing, and I'm actually going for this a lot at the minute, is my intellect can just become incredibly cynical, almost to the point of nihilism, where my intellect sort of, I'm not, and maybe in some respects I even use this as a cover for massive insecurities. I know a lot of generally smart people do this. Who cares? Really, intelligence is a good thing. It's not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. But I think maybe sometimes I almost used it as a sort of defense mechanism against the world. I don't have to engage with this, or I don't have to do that because my intellect doesn't want to, ego, whatever. I don't know exactly what it is. But yeah, that's the current thing I'm going for at the minute. It's like a little bit of an existential funk, but existential funkies are pretty good, to be honest. It's where I think, in a way, that's where character develops. You develop character from struggling, from really getting into some serious stuff with yourself and exploring it, really. And, I'm going very cynical at the minute. I've been doing a lot of walks recently. I've changed where I live, so I'm just walking around a lot. This is quite a nice area, actually. I'll just turn this down a bit. Pretty dead loud, but walking around a lot where I live, which is quite a picturesque area in London, and I'm enjoying that process of just evening walks on my own, just thinking. It's hard to actually, I think I sort of talked about this in the last vlog, it's hard to really dilute those forms down into a processable form, I suppose, which is what I'm going to try and do with whatever writing I'll attempt now. And I've not really written any philosophy for a long time. I've written prose and poetry in varying degrees, but I sort of feel now is the time to get into philosophy again. I'm really interested in exploring the ideas of, what is real these days. We exist in a world where, technology allows us to create very convincing deep fakes. How are we as a people, as a culture, as a society, or anything, going to deal with... We already can't really tell what's true anymore that much. We do live in almost a post-truth age. So, I mean, it's almost like schizophrenic in a sense. It's like in the sense that, not the clinical sense, but I mean the sense there's just nothing feels real anymore. Like I was on my walk and this is a bit of I don't even know how to, it's just an observation, but I was walking around and everybody's just, instead of living in the moment and just enjoying the scenery and just being in the present moment, which is probably the only real moment that our consciousness can latch onto and experience. Experience is the moment, really, in a lot of senses. But anyway, I'm rambling. But they were all just like taking photos of each other. I mean, it's Valentine's Day, so I'm being a miserable bastard here, actually. Whatever, couples do that. I've done it myself. It's cute, actually, in a way. But I don't know. I just can't stop feeling that somehow we've just gone a little bit awry as a culture, as a society, as people. We don't really question anything anymore. We get our news from mostly the same sources. And I mean, I want to look into Rousseau again, actually, for this very reason, because Rousseau saw, the romantic tradition of seeing that maybe civilization and all these technological advances they've brought a lot of great, discovery and communication into the world, but also they've reduced that down as well. It's reductive in some senses. And I don't know, I mean, like, when I go through these phases, I do become somewhat of a miserabilist, and I'm not very much I'm not really a beam of light, no pun intended with this thing, but I mean, to be around. But I want to find, I want not light in the spiritual sense, but light in this world that's worth clinging to, or worth, sort of something to live for. Because if you don't have a reason to live for, then it's death, isn't it? It's pointless. That's the real nihilistic experience you start living then. And I've been there. I mean, I've been there. There was a time when I was in Manchester where I was there for 4 months, maybe, just utterly devoid of meaning and wasting away in a shitty old house. And I've been there a few times, actually, really, to be honest. I don't want to go back there again. I mean, I'm in the luxurious position of not having to be in that position, basically. As long as I apply myself, I've got a new job and everything. I can apply myself and I can at least earn money. And unfortunately, money's just a thing that we have to exist within this world. Even though really it's just not real, it's man-made, but it is a thing. It's something that we have to deal with. Anyway, I'm sort of going on and on now, but I know exactly what the point of this is. That is the sort of nature of my current existential crisis, which I'm going to try and write about. I mean, I started writing a philosophy book a while ago, but I lost all those writings somewhere. I don't even know where I lost them. I actually recorded them on this channel, but I need to get into that again. I think it's important to articulate some of these feelings and thoughts and really just try and contextualize them, see which ones are, worth consideration, which ones are just, sort of neurotic ramblings, and which ones are have some validity in the history of human thought. Probably few, if I'm honest. I mean, like, I am very acutely aware of the fact that I am often extremely pessimistic and cynical. And it's not. I mean, it's not. But it's almost a personality trait for me now. I don't know if I can get rid of that. I don't think I'm a joyous person. You know, I think I'm the Greeks had that the temperament. So I think I'm a melancholic. I am a melancholic human being. I think that's actually part of who I am. I'm a skeptical, melancholic human being. I feel things very intensely. Actually, I have very intense emotions. I have very intense attachments to people, things, sentimentalism even. But there's always a sense of the tragic and the sort of, you know, almost like whatever we try and do, we're always damned as a human race. It's why I like these thinkers like Kieran and Nietzsche or Schopenhauer. I started reading a bit recently, but not very far of it so far. But there you go. That's the current state of my existential crisis. Like I'll just end it on this. Like I felt very, very, very hopeless last night. I felt extremely depressed. Long story, but I mean, I had a pretty good day on most accounts, and you know, like just. But then I came back. It was so rainy yesterday. It was like really like depressing weather yesterday in London, which can actually affect my mood a bit. And it just added to everything. Like my shoes got soaked. I got soaked, and it was almost like I've had a pretty difficult few weeks, as I think I mentioned. I don't want to go into details that much, but when it rains, it pours sometimes. It feels like, and especially if you're melancholy. I'm actually quite a sensitive person, really. Even though I outwardly, I'm quite impervious to external factors and sort of almost detached from them. I'm a very sensitive person, very sensitive. And I don't mean that in some sense of being like weak. I just mean that, yeah, I have that sensitivity in my emotional life, which is why actually I don't often. It takes a long time to get to know me properly, anyway, because I'm very sensitive and I will not let you in unless I trust you on a very fundamental level, really. Anyway, that's my video diary for the day. Just all my current existential crisis of sorts, and how I'm actually going to try and work through it by writing about it, exploring it. What is this? Yeah, that's all I have to say for this one. I'll leave it at that. It's 13 minutes already. I won't bore you any longer. This is more of a personal vlog than probably even the last two, which were more generally philosophy focused. But have a good day or evening or whatever, and I'll float off into the light.